Hey everyone, it's Mindrolling. I'm back, and I'm with really two loves of my life, Sharon Salzberg and Duncan Trussell. We haven't done that. Boy, it's been a long time since the three of us did anything podcast-wise, right? Like many.
Yeah. Too long.
It's been a while, yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit. Sharon, highly unusual, you might say, but not really. Sharon has a children's book out called Kind Karl, and
it's great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And we have a man here who is increasing his family on a day-to-day basis, so to speak.
I'm breeding. I'm making up for all you guys out there. No way.
I think the last time I saw you, you had one child.
Yes.
Really?
Now I have 3 and 1 on the way in a few weeks.
Oh, it's a few weeks.
Oh yeah.
Wow. So, Sharon, what do you think? Where's this aimed at in terms of? So we know, like, what's the age? 3 to 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what better a person to give us a little feedback than this man sitting in front of us, Duncan Trussell?
I agree. I'm so eager to hear.
Yeah, that's why.
Stamp of approval. We need it, and it's good. It's just like, Sharon, you're so good at conveying some of these ideas, and it's just, you'll find books on, I don't want to nag anybody trying to get mindfulness to kids.
Yeah,
but
right.
Sometimes it doesn't feel like it's hitting the mark, or it's not, it's just going to go right over their heads. But I feel like this is all Salzberg. This is
It's a great blurb. This is all Salzberg.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, let's
Salzberg.
get that. Yeah, this is all Sharon Salzberg.
Yeah.
Okay, but tell me, I need to know a little bit about the one emotion that it starts with in terms of, all the different ways in which we're going through a lot on a day-to-day basis is anger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you talk about that? How did
Sure.
you?
Well, Karl is a crocodile, I should say.
Well, they're not naturally angry. I don't know. Maybe.
And he has a bad temper, old Karl, and he lives in Orlando. But he has a terrible temper, and he snaps. He snaps when he gets embarrassed. He snaps when feelings overwhelm him. It's kind of an adult book with illustrations in a way.
That's what I thought.
In a funny way.
Exactly.
And then he realizes that all that snapping wasn't only when times were tough, it was really closing him down, and it kept him away from people, and he felt kind of lonely and confused. So he learns a few things. One is he learns how to deal with those angry and all the other difficult thoughts and emotions. And this is also an adult lesson. We all try to do this in meditation, where he sees the thoughts because that's what's happening in the moment, but he kind of puts them in clouds and lets them flow away rather than take them to heart and, get so identified with them. Nobody likes me. I'm so stupid, and rather than building a whole self-image around it, he lets them fly, and there's this very funny line as he's doing this in the book where he says, "See you later, alligators." Because, of course, there's a great confusion between crocodiles and alligators. I've had to understand myself, and I've had to explain it like a lot of times in the lead up to the book.
It's so perfect specifically for me and my middle child, because he has a nighttime ritual that you gotta follow it. And so when you say good night to him, you also must say, "See you later, alligator." And
that's so cute.
It's so perfect. And I can't wait for the hardcover. I'm not going to show him a PDF, but it's so great. It really is. It's so good.
Oh, thank you.
and I wish I'd run into some of these concepts when I was a kid. Nobody was telling me I wasn't my thoughts when I was a kid. You never heard that at all. No one did that. No.
You heard you are that thought, and we're going to whip you to death because you have it.
How could you think that?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But, so in terms of all the emotions that you bring up and present and in this fashion, which, again, it is true. This is for adults.
Yeah, it's true. Because the next thing that Karl does is he tries out kindness. And he's needing to share a xylophone with somebody, and he offers to take turns, and it was good. And he sat by a friend and listened when they were upset, and he held a door open for a stranger. And I see a snake coming in at the same time, but I'm looking at the book right now. And he kept experiencing, what does it feel like when you're kind? It felt different to be kind, and it felt right. And then that just changed his whole world, because I was going to say people, but they're beings. It's like a rhino and, these other creatures who get very attracted to him because of the energy that he's putting out. And he's not so lonely anymore. And he has like a whole different kind of life. He's also really different with himself, by the way, when he makes a mistake, which is kind of early in the book. He makes a mistake spelling, and then he's just furious and hates himself, but now he can take a deep breath and remember to be kind even to himself. So it is pretty great for adults as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to bring this up as a little self-serving, but still, Duncan and I did a book, The Movie of Me to the Movie of We, and we used all these emotions and these, the crazy stuff that we absorb from small childhood onwards, and how that's affecting us now. We used ourselves as examples. And then, okay, where do we go to move and transform out of this, self-interest of such extraordinary proportions? And it ended up in what we... in the very end, it was Ram Dass. It was all we turned to him to get a solution, which was generosity and compassion. And that's what's in this book. And, that's, to me, so important.
Yeah, I think it's, really important. If you could be around little kids, be around little kids, because you understand war, you understand all this stuff, because it starts right at the beginning. It starts right at the beginning. They want each other's toys. The baby, the middle child, no matter what he picks up, the baby immediately wants it. And you know what I mean? This is just built into us. This is how you hit the road here is. And so whenever you look out in the world at the stuff that's going on in the big picture, it really isn't that different from siblings, except the problem is these are adults and there isn't anyone to tell them, okay, you're getting a timeout.
Yeah, right.
Putin, we're going to give you a timeout. Ukraine isn't yours. You don't just get to grab it, but this is starting, getting this stuff to very young humans. It needs to happen more. I think it's left out.
Now I'm visualizing the version of the book with people that we know, like leaders,
Oh, right.
That would be pretty funny. Yeah. I hope you do something like that.
Yeah, well, it's really as above, so below. It's no different, and once the kids plug into what Karl plugged into, they love it. It lights them up.
I mean, one feature of the book I like a lot, and you can tell me if it's realistic, is that Karl the Crocodile learns to notice how it feels when he's kind. And so when you talk about like your movie and people practicing generosity, one of the things I've been thinking about with something like generosity is that it unites us with a part of ourselves that's like whole. It's not broken. It's not needy. It has a kind of inner abundance. And just the act of doing it sort of has that flicker to life. And if we're aware, we can recognize it, we can feel it. And so it's not a small thing to have even a little act of kindness because of what's happening to us inside. And that's something Karl the Crocodile gets into. He really decides to change when he makes that experiment, which can be kind of radical, like help them instead of hurt them, or help yourself, forgive yourself when you drop all the crayons on the floor or something like that. And how does it feel inside when we choose that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to.
Yeah.
How about this, Sharon? I mean, the reality, Duncan is sitting there with his children, and the baby who's just come from the void is going, give me that thing, because you got it and I want it. Okay. And so we're sitting in that moment. I mean, as humans, this is our lot. I guess this is what the Buddha suggested.
Well, I mean, the Buddha also said that everybody wants to be happy, and a deep, deep meaning of happiness, not just pleasure or getting what we want, but something, much more fundamental. And so let's assume that's true. And that's covered over by personality and habit and all this stuff. But it exists. It always exists within a human being, no matter what, their kind of conditioning is. And so the problem is that we misunderstand what happiness is. So we're young, or we're ignorant, or we're taught, to be greedy in some way that, if we get enough, if we have enough, we'll be safe, we'll feel okay. And, and as an adult, we see that manifesting all the time. Like there's never enough, sometimes, because we think, well, this didn't do it. This is changing. This is not good enough. Let me hold on. Or my favorite version of that is it's a dog eat dog world.
Yeah.
Like, don't help anybody else because they're not going to help you. And, and so when someone is a child, the theory would be that urge toward happiness is there, and also ignorance, because we're taught so many things, but there is that possibility, right? To redirect someone. I mean, Duncan can speak, and you can speak more authoritatively than I, since I've never raised children, but we can offer this practice. So, for example, I have a goddaughter who's now in her late 20s, but I became her godmother when she was about 3 or 4 years old, because she told her mother I was her fairy godmother. And we'd only met like once. She said, Sharon is my fairy godmother.
Wow.
And her mother said, you have to ask. So they asked me, and I said, sure, it would be an incredible honor. And so she was about 8 or 9 years old. She started dictating emails to me through her mother. And this was the first email. It said, I've been thinking about things, and I wonder if you can help me out. Where does love come from? Where does space come from? And do love and space have anything to do with one another? Please tell me everything you know.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, oh, my God, indeed, But fortunately for me, there is a saying from the Buddha where he said, develop a mind so filled with love it resembles space.
Really?
Which cannot be painted, cannot be marred, cannot be ruined. Develop a mind so filled with love it resembles space. So if someone was throwing paint around in the air in the middle of this room, there would be nowhere in the space for it to land. Nothing would be ruined, even if it was like a kind of unfortunate color. So a mind that unconfined, that open, that free, like love. So I wrote some kid version of that to Willa, that's her name. And then I didn't hear back from her for a long time. And one day her mother said to me, Willa got into an argument with her little sister. Oh, the other part of that was, in contrast to being having a mind so filled with love it resembles space. I said in that original email, like in contrast to that, your mind you could be like a sponge, and something can happen, someone hurt your feelings and some incident, and of course you feel it, but if you're a sponge, it's like you suck it in and it fills all the cells in your body, and you get all yucky inside. So, I didn't hear from her for a while, and then her mother told me like a month or so later, Willa got into an argument with her little sister, and she was going around the house muttering, "I am like the sky. I am not a sponge. I am like the sky. I am not a sponge."
Mm-hmm.
And I asked her, "Mom, is that okay?" And she said, "Oh, yeah, she's working it." And so that's the possibility, even though we have so much influence toward holding on and pushing away and owning and not helping and things like that. There can be that redirection, like, oh, right, look at this. Look what this feels like. Is that right, Duncan?
Oh, yeah. You got it. I mean, yes. People just really underestimate children. And, just generally, I think because it's a language issue. Language is complex. Articulating your experience, you think of all the words you have to learn. And so just because they can't articulate the experience they're having, they get sort of put down on a lower tier of intelligence, even though they have more neurons in their brain than at any other time in your life. They're fully wide open. Like you said, Raghu, they just came from everything into like this compressed body space, confusing to say the least, and they gravitate towards love. And gosh, we were going to Starbucks, me and my oldest, and there was a home. And we get into he's like, what's going on with that guy? And that's a big question. I don't have time to explain capitalism to him. You know what I mean? I have time to explain late stage capitalism. And we were going to Starbucks and we're in there and he says, can we get him something to eat? And I said, of course, let's get him something to eat. And then I'm like, I'll get him some coffee too. And Forrest goes, Dad, I don't think he needs another addiction. Because he had
That's so great.
he had booze around him. And I'm like, look, he probably wants coffee. And Forrest is really like, let's get him water. I'm like, well, the coffee's great. He's going to love the coffee. And so we go out there and we're going towards him. And something Trudy taught me that, I'm such a dummy, man. These things really we need you guys, people like us. Because she was like, ask their name. Don't just give someone something. It dehumanizes them. Ask their name. No one sees them. They're invisible. Ask their name. And so we're approaching this guy. And really, man, I was in my mind praying, don't let him be in the middle of a psychotic episode. This could shape my kids' relationship with people for the rest of his life. We walk up to him. Forrest says, what's your name? He's like, Jim. Nicest voice ever. Nicest guy ever. We're like, we got you some food. He's like, oh, thank you so much. I'm like, I got you coffee. He's like, oh, I wish I'm thirsty, but I've had coffee. I wish I had some. Forrest looks at me, side eyes me. And then after that, anytime we go to that Starbucks, he remembers his name. He's always looking for Jim. He's like, where's Jim? Let's help him.
I'm going to go back to how you go back to anger in this book. Because this crocodile is angry, right? I don't know why I'm connecting so much with that crocodile anger. But he said, or you say, it's not that he didn't want to be kind. It's just that life was sometimes hard. And his temper was quick to show up. And he tells himself, well, it's because I'm a crocodile. I just snap and I can't help it. But deep down, he knew that wasn't entirely true. But we can't seem to really connect to that reality. Many of us who have encountered anger issues, and my friend here, he's with me on that one, and we've actually gone through it together, and being able to see it clearly, which is the wonder of Sangha, really, satsang. Right. That's like obviously super, super important. But yeah, the trigger that happens and then the follow-up. You and I, Sharon, have talked about this over the years, and you have a wonderful phrase for it, piling on. That trigger happens, and it's like free flow of everything that you feel damaged about in your life. And then it's a perfect opportunity to just blow everything up in that moment. Talk about that, would you?
Well, the word in Pali, the language of the original Buddhist text, is papancha. It means proliferation. Although I heard one translator once describe it as the imperialistic tendency of mind, where something happens and the whole world is taken over.
Wow.
And so I usually tell this story about Joseph Goldstein, where we were teaching together somewhere, and he and I were sitting in the kitchen having a cup of tea, and somebody came into the kitchen in some distress and said to Joseph, I just had this terrible experience. So Joseph said, well, what happened? And he said, I felt all this tension in my jaw, and I realized what an incredibly uptight person I am and how I always have been and I always will be. And Joseph said, you mean you felt a lot of tension in your jaw? And he said, yes, and I've never been able to get close to people, and it's never going to change. And it was really interesting for me, like watching them go back and forth and back and forth. And finally, Joseph said, why are you adding a miserable self-image to a painful experience? It's already painful to feel the tension in your jaw, and genuinely so. But on top of that, now you're going to be alone for the rest of your life. So this is what we tend to do when we're not really very mindful. We just proliferate. So something happens, it's distressing, and that's genuine. We don't have to like everything, And the positive part of anger is said to be energy. We can draw a boundary. We can have a sense of integrity, like, no, that's wrong. We can even have a kind of courage from it, because sometimes I think just socially, it's like the angriest person in the room is sometimes pointing out something no one else wants to look at. And we're all carefully looking the other direction. They say, no, look at that. But the internal toll of being lost in it and consumed by it, obviously, is very strong. In the Buddhist psychology, they say anger burns up our being like a forest fire. It burns like a forest fire, which can leave us very far from where we want to be. So it destroys its own host, which is us. It's our nervous system. It's our bodies. It's our relationships, our families. And so we don't want to be lost in it and drowning in it, which is why what Karl learned was really important. Like, maybe put those thoughts and feeling, recognize them, see them for what they are. Maybe you don't have to take everything to heart. Maybe you don't have to proliferate. Nobody likes me. I'm awful. They're terrible. They always will be, and don't let it kind of expand, which doesn't mean that we don't feel the original, like that guy with the tension in his jaw. We feel the original insult or problem or insufficiency, whatever it is, but we don't have to build an entire superstructure on top of it, which is only going to really destroy us in the end.
Yeah. And then I think what's great for everyone, again, this is an adult book as well as a children's book. And you talk about, being angry or snapping at people, whatever, it doesn't stop from you from feeling. It stops you from feeling happy. It stops you from being curious. I'm little alliteration there. It stops you from wanting to be around anybody.
Yeah.
And it stopped people from wanting to be around you. And, it creates big time confusion. But then here's the other, for me, little tidbit around anger. And that's when you get into that emotion and it roils up, there's a way in which there's an enjoyment of power. Right? You're luxuriating in this, false idol or something. And that.
But it's gross though, Raghu. Like if you think about that think of anger enjoyment versus like a nice spa. Anger enjoyment, like when you get poison ivy. Have you ever had poison ivy?
No.
You've never had poison.
Okay. Maybe. I'm sure in camp or something.
Poison ivy, you get poison ivy.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're so itchy. It feels so good to itch the poison ivy, but it's a gross relief. It's like this grimy, nice feeling, but you're spreading it and you shouldn't be touching it. Yeah. It's like that. It's not that anger enjoyment is like it's such a low level, and I don't even know if enjoyment is the right word for it. It is pleasurable, but pleasurable in this sort of I don't know, like breathing gasoline or what I mean? Gas has this nice kind of smell to it, but it's for a second but it's gross. It's like that. It's real low level. I know you.
All right, you're calling my stuff low level at this point? Come on. I mean, the truth, though, is when that surge happens.
Oh, I'm talking a master of anger. I'm the No, it's a rush. It's an addiction. But I just had Dale Ramdev on my podcast.
Yeah.
He runs the Living Project, and he really helped me understand something about my own anger, which he really untied a knot for me, which is grief. It's grief. So many people, when they're angry, when there's the crocodile that's snapping, the snapping is because at some point your heart gets broken. And it doesn't have to be because someone died. And I think right now, not to give a prognosis for the whole planet, only fools do that, but I am a fool. I think the whole planet is grieving right now. I think it is a mass grieving event. And people, because grief is already such a tricky thing, when your parents die or your pet dies or someone you love dies, you don't have any corollary for it. So you think it's sadness, but it isn't. It's something, it's its own animal. But at least when your parents have died, okay, there's grief. But now, I feel like people are having a grief response to the whole combination of things that are happening around the planet. And thus, anger. Because you don't want to get hurt again, and you're like, I'm shutting down. I'm not going to let anything in. And what better way? You were saying people don't want to be around you. Great. People aren't around me. They're not going to hurt me again. I don't have to worry about them dying.
Someone was pointing out to me once how badly people sometimes behave when there is a loss in the family, and they're arguing about possessions or something like that. And what this person said to me was, we don't really know how to grieve. And so it comes out on all these weird forms.
That's it. And Raghu, if you have anger stuff, I know I do, but once he connected those dots for me, which are pretty obvious, but I missed it altogether, it really helped me understand that, oh yeah, of course. Yeah, you're just, the add-ons in this case are you are painting a picture of a future where everyone you love will unexpectedly die. And it's just, why would you want that? Why would you want that? And so, that's the add-on to just the general beauty of the world. Let's not forget that part of it. It's like you've got this beautiful thing going on all around you all the time. Most of the time, you're not burying people, I hope, unless someone listening works at a funeral home or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's great here also, though, but to even start to excavate oneself from these difficult emotions is to know something about mind. And I love the way you introduced that and talk about how that happened in the book.
When he's looking at his thoughts, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, basically Karl the Crocodile makes a mistake in spelling in class. His favorite food is a crepe, and he actually spells crepe wrong. Mm-hmm. It's close, but not quite there. And I'm keep humanizing it. An emu named Sophia laughs at him and says he can't even spell his favorite food, and he gets really angry and he throws his comb. He loves to comb his hair. He throws his comb at the board and he runs out of the classroom, and that's when he's home, and then he's feeling like this misery, nobody likes me and I'm so stupid and things like that. But then he thought, this is something we do, hopefully as adults, as we look at our thoughts and feelings and we recognize our humanity. We say, yeah, those thoughts and feelings are real. They're really happening right now. This is how they feel, but are they true? So many of those add-ons are, I'm the only one, I'm the only one grieving. I'm the only one suffering. I'm the only one who sees the truth in this. And, so a sense of isolation, which is actually not true. It just feels like it. And so being able to make that distinction between, and honoring, kind of forgiving yourself for what you feel. You're not putting yourself down for that at all. But at the same time, you don't have to buy into all those thoughts and feelings because a lot of them are just constructs, and so what Karl does, nobody likes me and I'm so stupid. And he actually reflects with a pause. I had 3 friends show up for my birthday party. I can do fractions, things like that those thoughts aren't necessarily true. And that's when he placed the thoughts in the clouds and let them drift away. And so he wasn't, that gave him the skill actually to start kind of looking at the thoughts in his mind and to decide to be a little kinder to himself. So my favorite part of the book actually is right after that, when he decides, when he felt sad, he's going to take care of that sad part. Sometimes he made drawings using all the crayons in the box, and sometimes he just cried, and that was okay. And then he would choose kindness.
Yeah. This is, but you keep saying this is an adult book, but the best kids' books are adult books. The best kids' books are teaching the kids and the parents, because let us not forget, talk about snapping crocodiles. Right. Try putting a bunch of kids to bed. You're tired. The oven is broken. The dogs are barking. You love these beings more than you've ever loved anything in your life. But that doesn't mean they're not going to annoy you. And, and so this book, I promise you, Sharon, it's so good because so many parents are contending with that strange place where this is a being that you would, without hesitation, throw yourself in front of a car for. But simultaneously, this being from time to time is driving you nuts. And those two things are meeting. So, certainly as a parent, we could all use learning how to apply patience and kindness. And, I've got this very pregnant wife, and I can't believe how much she's doing right now. I can't get her to stop. But she can go all day getting Christmas presents, taking care of the kids' medicine. And then one mistake, one thing goes off, one thing doesn't work, and she starts beating herself up. Or maybe she's a little impatient momentarily with one of the kids. Mom guilt. And it's like, this book is perfect for all the parents who are sort of dealing not just with like their own stress, but also with the sense of like, I love this being so much. How can I not be the most perfect parent on earth? How can I not? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, you love them so much. You want to be Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Mary Poppins, all combined. And that's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, why did you put this book together, Sharon? We're speaking to all of, what are super, super important factors in having a relationship with a being that you've brought onto this planet. And I mean, the biggest wish is His Holiness the Dalai Lama. If mothers become compassionate, my mother was compassionate. That's why you see me as I am. It's because of my mother. And if we have this happening across the world, that progeny will be compassionate. It will.
Thanks, Dalai Lama. Let's add another thing for moms to worry about. That's great. Oh, yeah. Let's another ask for mamas from the Dalai Lama. They got enough on their plate.
Yeah. Yes, they better be compassionate or else. Okay.
Well, he always says his mother was his first teacher,
Yeah.
He really honors her a lot.
Yeah, what the heck?
But in this light, Karl the Crocodile learns to be kind to himself, which is really important when he doesn't do perfectly, like he didn't spell the word crepe perfectly, but when that happens again later, he doesn't call himself names. He whispers to himself, you did your best today and you can try again next time, So he actually becomes a model of self-compassion. Like, give yourself a break, for God's sake, Things can be really hard. And the book came about because Shambhala Publications published my first book, which came out in 1995, called Loving Kindness, which is really, I know these years go by, it's scary.
30 years.
Yeah, it was really kind of a practice manual for doing loving kindness meditation. And they've started a line of children's books called Bala Books. And they asked me, and they have Jason Gruhl, who's done children's books with them before. And they asked me about working with him to create a book about loving kindness. And it was, I think the idea in the beginning was something more didactic, like, this is loving kindness, this is compassion. And I said, shouldn't it be a story? And it became a story, and it became the story of Karl the Crocodile.
Where did you think of Karl the Crocodile? It could have been Minnie the Moose. I mean,
it could have been. Jason and I just, to have a plushy alligator. It turns out to be an alligator. And somebody said, as I start to do bookstore appearances and stuff for the book, they said, well, bring it. And I said, some smart kid's going to raise their hand and say, that's not a crocodile, that's an alligator.
Yeah.
So I think I'm
Sharon, I feel like these crocodile alligator people came at you or something.
Yeah.
Like, what happened? It feels like you got, like, somebody leaned into you for getting these two things confused.
No, I mean, it was sort of like...
what is the difference?
They have different snouts.
Whoa.
So if you see the kind of a long, elongated nose, that's more likely a crocodile.
Okay, well, it's not going to make me feel better if I'm in the water. Whatever it is.
Yeah, run the other way.
They both have a lot of teeth. Wow. Are you going to do another kids' book?
I don't know. I thought if this one does well, that it would be really good to do one on compassion. Real recognizing, well, like your beautiful story about the homeless person, Jim, realizing, wow, that looks like really a hard time. And can we give him some food? And I think he needs water. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that would be a really nice thing to do.
What'd be really great too is to take this book and create a wonderful little animation. Somebody must be thinking that way, no?
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean, because it would be, quite beautiful. I actually know somebody who's the right person who could take this. Yeah, I'll tell you.
We can commune.
Yeah.
And I also, now after this conversation, I'm thinking, wouldn't it be great to do something with world leaders? like Putin, relax, kind of.
Well, yes. And I'll tell you, all of you should be doing this. It's cool Shambhala's tuning into this. But my kids, they have this thing called a Yodo player, and it's awesome. It's just an indestructible little box that basically plays audiobooks for kids. But there's something called Yodo Daily. They love it. And it's great. It's just like our old radio show. This British guy gives funny facts, plays some music. But whoa, if you guys put together something like that for kids, because that's really missing out there, man. There's like Yodo Day, it's great, it's interesting, but there's not a lot of it's, as far as I'm aware, it's tough to find a podcast or kid-oriented things that have a spiritual angle to them. And they will be interested in. By the way, that's the trick.
Who's they? You mean the kids?
Kids.
The kids.
Yeah.
Kids aren't buying it, man. I'm sorry. If you've got the kids are, what's that song? Be careful, there's a baby in the house, and a baby is better than smart. Loudon Wainwright. Kids know
really?
Not buying your garbage. Like if you're trying to attach too much sentiment or you're too invested in getting your whatever your teaching is across, forget it. They're tuning out. But this book this achieves it.
So Raghu, I think you have a new line of work.
Which is?
Which is creating all these things for kids.
Yeah.
Be Here Now Kids. Be Here Now Kids podcast.
Be Here Now Kids. Many different people are writing in and saying, either they'd like to do something like that or they want something like that. Yeah. Well, anyhow, so this is something that can, continue this conversation for sure.
We need it on behalf of the parents of the world. We need it. I'm telling you, man, it's like, it really is the most beautiful thing that ever happened to me. But sometimes conveying to your child some of these ideas that show up. I have a whole joke that I've been doing about how do you teach Buddhism to a first grader? Forrest, let's press pause on this Mr. Beast marathon so we could have a talk about attachment, emptiness. These are heady topics. This is what, this is your genius, Sharon, is like you and Ram Dass's. And you can distill some of these things into a form that is accessible, and because I don't think you could, it's initially that accessible. It can come across at the very, best is dry, at the very worst is like esoteric and like I said, maybe it's just me. Conveying Buddhist topics to adults is tricky. It can seem inaccessible. Conveying Buddhist topics to kids, if it's hard to convey them to adults, it just can seem too heady. And like I said, my child now calls Buddhism boredism. And that's my fault.
How so?
I'm the one telling him about it, and clearly the way I'm telling him,
he's bored.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh my God. Okay, well, we got to see when you get Sharon's book, which will be soon because it's coming out soon.
It's in the mail, yeah. Well,
anyhow, you've got to that. I guess it's Forrest and his the middle and Dune.
Yes, I have a friend who came to visit. I just had a few advanced author copies, and she has a son who's about 10 or 11 years old. And I said, I gave her a copy, and I said, don't hurt his feelings by implying that, a kid's book is for him, but tell him I would really like to know if he thinks a younger child would like it.
And
I got a whole review.
How old is he?
He's like 10 or 11.
Can we hear the review?
Well, off the top of my head, he really liked it. He liked that the emu had hair in her arms, and he liked that the Karl had hair in his head. But the part he liked the best was where he put those troublesome thoughts in a series of clouds and let them flow away. So then really? I asked her, I said, well, when the book actually comes out, do you think he'd put a review on Amazon? And he said, oh, yes.
Awesome.
That's a great takeaway, right? Let's put all of those thoughts on different clouds and let them
instead of on Amazon.
Please, instead of on the social media. And I'm also happy, that in the back of the book, I have loving kindness meditation for kids. There are gratitude exercises, compassion exercises. And so that could be like a whole family endeavor.
I have an idea. We're starting a book club on our...
Oh, you are?
Yeah, our platform, Inner Academy, which has all of our courses and retreats that you're all a big part of. And why don't we take this book, Sharon, you'll come on, and Duncan, you'll bring your children, and we'll read the book with parents and children and let them kind of give us feedback, give you feedback. And
Cool.
Wouldn't that be cool?
I would love that.
I would love that.
Okay, we're going to make it happen. It's actually, it's all being prepared to launch in January.
I can't put my kids online, though. I just realized that. We don't do that.
Yeah, I was...
Okay, so parents are going to say that. So we'll figure a way to deal with that.
Masks. They could all wear
masks.
Masks. That would be great. Just to give a little bit...
That's so creepy.
Say that again?
I said, don't put your kids online. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, right.
I had that thought too. When
well, we're just spitballing here. I don't know. We'll come up with something. Actually, the first thing we're coming up with, so I have to give a shout out to Ram Dass's new posthumous book, which is There Is No Other, Path to Wholeness. And Sharon, of course, do you even know that you're in this book?
I don't
you
know.
are. Sharon and Joseph Goldstein and Jack Cornfield and Mirabai Bush and Annie Lamott are all contributors to this book, where we have gotten Ram Dass's most essential words around us and them that he used to talk about. When he first came back from India, that was very much part of his talks, dealing with how we other everybody and everything, including, of course, as Ramdev was saying, the environment, and now we're grieving over the fact that we've othered it. And so that there is no other, everybody, in case you haven't heard about it. And what else? Duncan, should we talk? Is there anything you want to say about what you...
I love the book. I hope everyone... I'm not plugging my...
plug something, for God's sake.
I'm not helping the world. I tell jokes. But this book is great. Pick up a copy of Sharon's book. It's amazing. And for sure, the new Ram Dass book is wonderful. You guys are the best. Never stop making this stuff for us. We need it.
Sharon, really, this is great that you did put this together, and I can see adults getting together with their children, doing readings and so on in their homes and so on. Yeah, not necessarily online. But we're going to figure something out there too. I'll dream something up.
Yeah.
And but no, it's a great way for children to start to realize I am not just my thoughts. I am not that story that they've been shoving down my throat about how it all is. I am not that. To get that conversation going is super, absolutely super. So really appreciate it that you've done this. So can you show the cover of the book again? Okay.
You said
that's good.
It has to be.
Yeah, the art is really great in this. I haven't seen the actual book. I've seen the PDF, but look at Karl. There he is, Kind Karl.
It's great.
Yeah. So everybody, this will be available on December 9th, I think. Am I right? In bookstores. And
yeah, that's right.
Of course, anywhere that you buy books, Amazon even. Thanks for being here, both of you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Sharon. Happy birthday, Raghu. You guys.
Yes.
All right.
And may you have a beautiful emergence of your next child.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, Aaron says we wanted to tell both of you hello and ask that you would pray for her. Please, she's serious.
Really? She doesn't seem to need much. She's got it all going there. I mean, really.
Pray for me.
Really.
And give me the prayers.
Okay, we'll
send them to all. Send loving kindness to
Thanks,
all.
guys.
And absolutely. And thank you guys for being here. This is Mindrolling on Be Here Now Network. And go to BeHereNowNetwork.com. And Sharon's got a wonderful podcast, and Joseph and Jack. And go to Duncan Trussell Family Hour to get his words of wisdom. No, for sure.
Well, thank you so much, Raghu, and thanks you guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Thanksgiving.